The other big news coming through overnight is that Mike Ashley might be finally on the verge of selling his club to a Saudi Arabian conglomerate. This would be the latest Gulf state getting involved in the Premier League. It was initially mooted, I think, it's hard to remember, in the middle of COVID at some point in that vast indeterminate period between March 2020 and May 2021, none of which I have any recollection of beyond kind of it was a long period of time and everything was a bit grim. In the middle of that, he tried to sell his club to a member of the Saudi Arabian royal family. I don't want to incorrectly...
Yeah. Well, the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, which happens to be overseen by Mohammed bin Salman. Of course, totally different organisations to the actual family. He just oversees the operation.
And that'll be very important when it comes to, the sponsorship deals that they do with other businesses from Saudi Arabia, which allow them to circumvent some of the rules on financial fair play. So just bear that in mind into the future if this takeover does happen. The takeover was initially torpedoed amidst some public disquiet about the involvement of the Saudi Arabian ruling family in the Premier League, not on the basis of any human rights issues. Obviously, there are ongoing massive issues with Saudi Arabia and what they're doing in Yemen, and just generally the rights of women in that country. That wasn't really anything to do with the problems that the Premier League had with what was going on and the other Premier League owners had with the Saudi Arabian royal family getting involved. It was to do with piracy of football signals. So essentially, they sell the rights to a broadcaster, and then, sometimes other people watch those games, but not on the original broadcaster. They might just search on Twitter and find the ability to watch it for free. And a lot of the piracy, it seems, was coming from companies connected to or involved with or based in Saudi or in companies that had Saudi Arabian operations. And that was the issue.
That seems to be the real part that's moved over the last little while for sure. I mean, the blockade seems to have softened quite a bit since the start of this year. I know Philippe Auclair was on with us last week pointing to that and the implications that the blockade softening are actually going to have on football on a whole range of different levels, including the World Cup next year. But in the context of Saudi Arabia, the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia and their takeover of Newcastle United, it seems that basically being available in Saudi Arabia now is the key part, which I know we all know that TV rights are important, but it seems to have been paramount to pretty much everything else in this conversation here, where it seemed ridiculous at the time that a Saudi Arabian fund could take over a football club in the Premier League and then people in their country would not be able to legally watch the Premier League club that they had taken over. So they needed to get around that. They needed to get beIN back on Saudi Arabian television screens in a legal way. And the ending of that blockade, I guess, went towards helping that and towards beIN becoming available once again in Newcastle or in Saudi Arabia rather, and then the Public Investment Fund can come along and actually can actually invest in Newcastle United. You talk about the fact that a state-sponsored program shouldn't be allowed to take over a club. I mean, it's literally against the rules, and Saudi Arabia will say that they're not involved with this whatsoever. It's a totally separate fund. But MBS has been involved in this on a number of different occasions, not least last year when Boris Johnson was under pressure from him to reverse his decision for the sake of British Saudi Arabian diplomacy. It seems to me that is certainly a little bit of state interference going on from their perspective, but I suspect that those sort of things will be turned a blind eye to. But television rights, God no, that's way too important to turn a blind eye to.
I'd like to talk to somebody with a deep understanding of the geopolitics of the Gulf region to see exactly what's going on here, because how did the row in the first place happen? Why did it happen? What is the relationship between the owners of beIN and the owners of the satellite network that was stealing the signal in Saudi Arabia, and why all of a sudden has peace broken out there? So look, that's one aspect to it. The other aspect to it is the Newcastle fans are happy that somebody's coming in and spending money, and look, who knows whether or not they're actually going to invest any money. Reports are mixed about what the level of investment will be. It will be more than Mike Ashley. I think it's fair to say that there will be some money, and we'll see exactly what happens with regards to that.
It's a different time though, isn't it, to say the Manchester City takeover. I mean, financial fair play is more of a thing now. I'm not saying it's going to stop Newcastle United from spending lavishly over the next couple of years, but I don't think it'll be as immediate as Manchester City or as flagrant as Manchester City. Maybe that's just a very innocent expectation of what's actually going to happen over the next little while.
Who knows? Maybe all it means for the short term is that they actually get to keep their best players by paying them salaries that they would be able to get elsewhere, and that would immediately mean that, you know, Alan Maximin says, and all of a sudden Newcastle becomes a destination club for middle tier footballers who want to eventually prove their worth in the Premier League and then get a move to a Champions League side. I don't know, but it's interesting that the fans in Newcastle have decided that they've had enough of Mike Ashley and they're going to take this, whatever it comes with and whatever strings are attached, and they're going to hold their nose metaphorically until the money gets spent. And that's why sports washing works. That's exactly why sports washing works. It's because we all get sucked in watching Messi and Mbappe and the soap opera that happens there. And it's the same at Manchester United. Like, Manchester United is a means of using massive amounts of debt, heaping massive amounts of debt on the shoulders of the fans of that club to take ownership of that club, and we don't care about it. It's not like the point of sports washing is to gain soft power in international terms for those countries. That's why they do it. But like, let's not forget that there's a whole system based on the way that the shares of Manchester United are floated. They're just sold.
Yeah, just literally on the same page here in the Times. It's actually very interesting juxtaposition. Glazer pair set to stand to net £137 million from share sales. So this is Paul Hurst reporting that they're putting up £137 million of shares. So 9.5 million Manchester United shares are up for sale. It's going to go into the pockets of Kevin and Edward Glazer, and the prospectus makes clear that none of the money will go back into the club. We will not receive any proceeds from the sale of any Class A ordinary shares by the selling shareholders. So
the share price has gone up significantly since the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo as well. I think the value of the shares has gone up by about 20 million since his arrival. So already the money that somebody spent is being taken out somewhere else from the club. So look,
if you're a football fan, which owner do you want? Like, I mean, if you're that dyed in the wool as a Newcastle fan or a Manchester United fan, like, you don't hear Manchester City fans complaining about their owners. You don't hear Paris Saint-Germain fans complaining about their owners. Manchester United fans, though, I think there's obviously a whole different element at play when it comes to comparing these ownerships. But certainly when you look at the way the Glazers have used it as an ATM.
Yeah, and so I'm not trying to make some moral equivalence between these things, because they're all of a different magnitude and a different scale. But it's just like everybody's playing a game, and football is the plaything of these states and these families. And I don't know, forget it, don't forget it, up to you. You pays your money, it takes your choice.